The cough is small, but in the profound silence of the rock shelter, it is a sound as loud as a breaking stone. The woman pulls the child tighter against her, burying his face in the worn hyena fur of her cloak. His breath is a small, warm cloud against her skin. Outside, the world has ended. It ended 3 days ago, when the sky turned to fire and the ground began its lull. Violent shudder. Then came the darkness, not the soft, familiar dark of night, but a thick, suffocating blanket of grey that has not lifted since. The man crouches at the mouth of the cave, a silhouette against the perpetual twilight. He has been there for hours. A spear of fire minus hardened wood held loosely in his hand, his gaze fixed on the ghost of a landscape. He rises and steps out. His feet sink into a fine, grey powder that coats everything. It is cold, with a dampness that seeps through the leather of his foot minus wrappings. The air is sharp with the smell of sulphur and wet rock, an acrid taste at the back of the throat. This is not the world they know. The stream that ran a stone's throw from their shelter is gone, choked and buried. The familiar grove of acacia trees, where they once watched your ass graze, are skeletal fingers clawing at a leaden sky. A profound silence has fallen. The cheerful chatter of birds and insects replaced by the faint, mournful whistle of wind across a dead land. This is a volcanic winter, an extinction event unfolding in real time for the small community of 3. It is simply the great emptying. The spirits of the land have fled. They cannot stay. The last of the dried springbok is a tough, stringy handful. The water skins are low. The shelter, once a bastion of safety, has become a tomb in waiting. This is the hard choice, made without a single word passing between them. The woman gathers their few possessions, a bundle of stone points, a fire-minded starting kit of iron pyrite and tinder fungus, a hide scraper worn smooth by her own hand. Each object is a universe of accumulated knowledge, a testament to the survival skills that define their kind, the Homo sapiens who have learned to think their way through disaster. She leaves the grinding stones. They are too heavy. They belong to a life that no longer exists. She takes a small lump of red ochre, a comfort, a piece of a forgotten sun. The man watches the horizon, his eyes scanning for movement. The only sign of life is a track in the ash. The splay mine stowed print of a lone, starving hyena. The predators are still out there, as desperate as they are. This new world has broken the old rules of predator and prey. No. Everything is simply made for whatever is hungry enough to take it. The vast herds of Pleistocene megafauna on which they depended have vanished, fled, or are already fallen. The primal fear is not of the dark, for it is always dark, but of the things that move within it, unseen and unheard until it is too late. The family unit is their only true defense, a fragile circle of warmth and shared vigilance. He turns back to the cave. His eyes meet the woman's. It is time. They walk out into the grey desolation, the child held between them, and they do not look back. The journey is a slow passage through purgatory. Each step is a conscious effort, a lifting of a foot from the clinging, sucking ash and placing it forward into more of the same. The world has been reduced to 2 colors, the grey of the ground and the grey of the sky. Days are marked not by the sun, but by the subtle shift in the oppressive gloom, a slightly lighter grey that bleeds into a slightly darker one. Their sense of direction is a fragile thing, an instinct woven from the memory of landmarks that are now ghosts. The man leads, navigating by the slope of the land, by the faint, skeletal outlines of ridge minus lines he barely recognizes. He is chasing a story, a whisper from his father about a place far to the north, a valley where the earth breathes hot steam even in the deepest cold. It is a desperate act of foresight, a gamble on ancestral memory against the evidence of a dead world. This journey is a core part of Hominid history, a story of migration not for opportunity, but from annihilation. Hunger is a constant, cold not in their bellies. The land offers nothing. They find the corpse of a giant deer, its magnificent antlers tangled in the skeletal branches of a thorn bush. But they are too late. The scavengers have already been, leaving behind only hide, bone, and the stench of decay. The man breaks a femur with a heavy stone, and they socket the meager, frozen marrow. It is barely enough to fuel them for another half-minus day's walk. The child weakens. He no longer complains, his silence more terrifying than any cry. The woman carries him on her back, her own breath coming in ragged bursts, the weight of their shared future pressing down on her. This is the raw mathematics of altruism. Her calories burning to keep his small heart beating. It is a transaction with no guarantee of profit, a defining feature of early humans. Fear follows them, a shadow that flits at the edge of their vision. They are not alone. A pair of cave hyenas, emboldened by starvation, now trail them. They are gaunt, their powerful shoulders reduced to bony angles, but their eyes glow with a cold, patient intelligence. They keep their distance, 100 paces back, loping silently in the family estrax, waiting for the weakest to fall. The primal fear of being hunted, but being seen not as a thinking being but as mere sustenance, becomes their fourth companion. This constant pressure has shaped the evolution of all human ancestors, honing the instinct for vigilance. They are forced to make a stand at the base of a granite outcrop. There is nowhere left to run. The hyenas close in, splitting up to flank them. The man places the woman and child behind him, his back to the rock. He holds his spear, but he knows it is not enough. His mind, the true weapon of his species, works furiously. His free hand finds a quartzite cobble. With practiced, desperate speed, he strikes it with another stone. The sharp crack of lithic technology echoes in the dead air. A flake, lethally sharp, falls into the ash. He smirches it up. This is the essence of the Moose-Terrian way. Creating a solution from the materials at hand, he grips the flame, its edge a promise of a grievous wound, and screams a guttural challenge into the great twilight. He is not a mighty hunter. He is a cornered father. The hyenas pause. They weigh the certainty of their hunger against the cost of his fury. For a long, tense moment, the two species stare across the chasm of their desperation. The lead hyena bares its teeth, a low growl rattling in its chest, then turns and melts back into the gloom. The other follows. They have not won. They have only proven they are not the easiest meal on this dying earth. Not yet. The first sign is not seen, but felt. A change in the air, a settled warmth that has no source. Then, a new smell, carried on the dead wind. The rotten mine is sick stench of sulfur, but underneath it, something else, the scent of wet earth, of life. They follow it, a pack of starving wolves drawn to a scent they can barely remember. The man's pace quickens, a grim hope flickering in his eyes. The ash thins, revealing patches of dark, muddy ground. A trickle of steaming water cuts a black line through the grey. He dips his fingers in it. It is warm. He brings them to his lips, tasting the minerals, the very lifeblood of the deep earth. For the first time in what feels like a lifetime, they see a color other than grey, a patch of impossible green, a cluster of ferns uncoiling in the unnatural heat. They reach the ridge and look down into the valley. It is a revelation. The wound in the dead world. A geothermal vent has turned this small basin into a sanctuary. Steam rises in ghostly plumes from fissures in the rock, and the ground is a tapestry of hardy mosses, ferns, and stunted, resilient shrubs. A small, cloudy pool shimmers with warmth, but it is not empty. Huddled near the largest steam vent are others. A dozen figures, perhaps more, wrapped in ragged furs. Their faces gaunt and smeared with ash. They are a tribe of ghosts, haunting the last warm place on earth. When they see the family on the ridge, they rise as one. Spears, crude and heavy, are lifted. There is no welcome in their eyes, only the fierce, territorial glare of creatures pushed to the absolute limit. This is not a haven. It is a fortress, and its occupants are not prepared to share. Here is the hard choice. To fight would be suicide. To retreat is to die in the cold. The man stops. He holds up an empty hand. Then slowly, deliberately, lowers his spear to the ground. He gestures to the woman and the child, an appeal to a shared humanity that may no longer exist. One of the valley dwellers, a large man with a matted beard, shouts something guttural, a threat that needs no translation. This moment is a microcosm of human evolution. A conflict not between species, but within one, over the final, dwindling resources. The family is a problem of anthropology in its rawest form, the outsider versus the established group. The man makes his decision. It is an act of supreme intelligence and humility. He turns not back to the cold, but sideways, leading his family along the ridge to the far edge of the valley. He finds a small, steaming crack in the earth, far from the central group, a place they have clearly deemed too exposed or insignificant. Here, they make their camp. They are pariahs, clinging to the fringe of life, but they are alive. The woman, using her knowledge, finds the rhizomes of the ferns are edible when cooked in the hot mud. The man, with the last of his energy, works a piece of chert. His Mousterian technique is more refined than what he saw in the hands of the valley dwellers. His blows are precise, economical. He crafts a perfect scraper, its edge keen and durable. He walks to the halfway point between his camp and theirs and places the tool on a flat rock. It is not a tribute, nor a challenge. It is a statement of worth. We are not just more mouths. We are creators. We know things. We can help. This is adaptation, not of the body, but of the mind. In the silent, hostile world of ancient history, this small piece of primitive technology is their only currency. He retreats to his fisher, to his family, and they wait, watching to see if the language of stone will be understood. We pull back from the steam miner's shrouded valley, from the single to lying on a cold rock. A silent question between two starving groups of ancient humans. The lens widens, encompassing a planet shrouded in volcanic twilight. The eruption of Tibia did not just choke the sky. It created a genetic bottleneck, a crucible that tested our species to its core. The archaeological record falls eerily quiet for a time after this event. A whisper in the stone that speaks of a population brought to the brink. The survivors of this long winter were not the strongest or the most aggressive. They were the ones like this family, the most cooperative, the most resourceful, the ones who understood that a finely crafted tool was more powerful than a spear, that a shared future was the only future possible. Their struggle is the unwritten preface to all of human history. The foresight to follow a half-miner's forgotten story, the altruism to carry a child through a dead land, and the intelligence to offer knowledge instead of violence. These are not just survival traits. They are the foundational pillars of everything we have since become. The embers of community they shielded in that desperate valley would one day ignite the fires of civilization. Their story, and thousands like it, are buried in the deep stratigraphy of our own DNA, a testament to the fact that our ascent was fueled not by conquest, but by the simple, profound refusal to let each other die alone in the dark. Their hard -1 survival raises the eternal question: are we the descendants of the ones who guarded the fire, or the ones who had the wisdom to share it? The chronicles are not written in ink, but in the echoes of a child's cough in a cold cave. They are the stories we carry in our bones. Listen closely. But what happens when the threat is not the sky falling, but the stranger who walks out of the trees, holding a familiar spear?